Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty fascinating in AI. There's this huge amount of money, like $500 billion, being poured into infrastructure, but a lot of big companies, they still seem kind of stuck with what feel like, well, toy chatbots or just basic code help. So the big question we're digging into is, why? Why aren't we seeing more, game-changing results from all that spending?
Well, I think what's really revolutionary, what's shifting now, is this emergence of agentic AI.
Agentic AI.
Yeah. Essentially, models that don't just get instructions, they can actually break down complicated stuff, plan out steps. And then this is the key part, execute those plans. They interact with external systems, sort of like a human would, but, at scale.
Right.
And this here really feels like a turning point because enterprises are finally getting to a place where they can build these agents with the guardrails they need, the safety features to actually connect them to real production systems.
And the market certainly noticed. The reaction seems, well, explosive. You just look at the numbers.
Oh, absolutely.
Anthropic, for example. Their annualized revenue went from, $1 billion last December to $3 billion by May.
In 5 months, yeah. It's incredible growth.
Triple-digit leap, just like that.
Yeah.
And then OpenAI, they're projected to hit maybe $12 billion by the end of 2025.
That's the projection. And it seems clear this isn't just, hype.
No,
This
right.
kind of acceleration, it's largely being fueled by actual enterprise AI spending. Companies are moving past just playing around. They're looking for real business value now. And these new agent capabilities seem to be where they're finding it.
So that explosive growth,
Yeah.
driven by enterprises putting real money down, it tells you something big is shifting under the surface.
Definitely.
And maybe the most visible place we're seeing that change right now is, well, with engineers themselves, right?
Yeah.
So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on these agents.
Yeah.
We want to understand what they actually are, why they might be this missing piece, the real challenges in getting them deployed.
Mm-hmm.
And really importantly, how businesses are making those strategic calls. Do we build this stuff ourselves or do we buy it?
Let's start maybe with this shift we're seeing in coding itself. It feels pretty fundamental.
It really is.
We're seeing engineers' workflows just completely changing. Productivity seems to be, well, through the roof for many.
Yeah.
Lots of people are using these AI native developer tools like Cursor or Windsurf. And developers are becoming, really good at prompting and code review.
Right, they're shifting their skills.
And letting the LLMs handle a lot of the sort of day-to-day grunt work of coding.
It's a very noticeable trend. And the LLM providers, they're investing heavily in making their models better at code. You look at benchmarks like Swaybench Verified, which tests how well AI handles real coding tasks.
Okay.
The improvements are pretty stark. GPT 4.1, it's up 21 percentage points from GPT 4.0.
And then Gemini 2.5 Pro, that's up another 9 points from 4.1. And developers, they seem to be genuinely raving about Gemini 2.5 Pro.
And this kind of leads into a term that seems to be everywhere now, vibe coding.
Ah, yes. Vibe coding.
I heard Rick Rubin, the music producer on that Andre Horowitz podcast, call it the punk rock of software.
That's a great analogy.
His point was, just like punk rock made it super simple for anyone with an idea to make a song, vibe coding makes it incredibly easy for someone with an idea to actually create code.
And that's where it gets really interesting because vibe coding, it's way more than just, getting text completion or copying some code out of ChatGPT.
It's not just copy-paste.
No. With a tool like Cursor or Windsurf, you basically give it the gist, the feeling of what you want, and then the tool thinks, it acts, and it writes that code for you. It's this dynamic process.
Thinking and acting.
Yeah, this multi-step interaction where the AI is actively reasoning and taking actions to get to the result, that fundamentally needs agents to work properly.
Okay, so if this whole agentic approach works so well for code, and code is, pretty structured, testable, easy to check if it's right,
Relatively speaking, yes.
then why would we just stop there? Why limit this idea only to code?
Exactly. That's the big question, isn't it?
Couldn't you apply the same idea to, well, almost any problem in a business using these sort of general-purpose agents?
That's the potential. And maybe surprisingly, building a basic agent. That's
Love
actually
that.
the easy part.
Really?
Yeah, you could probably whip up a functional agent in like 100 lines of JavaScript or Python.
100 lines. That
Yeah.
sounds almost too easy. So what's the common way people build these? Is there a standard pattern?
A very common and pretty powerful method uses what's called the React pattern. That's REACT.
Okay.
It stands for reason and act. Basically, it's this loop. The agent reasons about what it needs to do next.
Thinks about the next step.
Right. Then it takes an action. Then it looks at the result, the observation, and it just keeps iterating, reason, act, observe until it decides, okay, I've got the final answer.
And when it acts, what does that involve? You mentioned tools.
Exactly. Tools are just functions or capabilities the agent can use. Think of them like skills. It could be calling an external service like an API, hitting some internal code, maybe using a database connector.
Got it.
So fundamentally, an agent is just an LLM, the brain, if you wrapped in this execution loop. It reads the situation, decides what to do, calls a tool if needed, checks the result, and decides again. It self-verifies its progress.
Okay.
So a simple example. Maybe an agent has a calculator tool. The LLM decides, I need to do some math here, calls the calculator tool, gets the result back, and moves on. Or it decides, okay, task complete.
And I assume there are controls. You don't want it just running forever.
Oh, absolutely crucial. That execution loop has to have a maximum number of iterations. It's a key guardrail, stops it getting stuck in, an infinite loop, burning up time and tokens. And it helps control costs, obviously.
Right, makes sense.
The LLM decides when to use a tool and ultimately when the job's done.
Okay, so building that basic 100-line agent sounds, deceptively simple.
Uh-huh.
But anyone who's ever tried to take even a simple web app from their laptop into a real company environment knows.
Here's the pain.
Going from prototype to production ready, that's where the real heavy lifting starts. So what's the first big wall companies hit when they try this with agents?
You nailed it. It's that jump to the real enterprise company context. Suddenly, it's not just about the agent's logic. You've got a whole host of serious concerns. Things like single sign-on, SSO.
Right. Basic security.
Robust role-based access control, RBAC. How do you securely connect to external services? What about audit logs? Who did what, when?
Compliance.
Compliance, like SOC2. How are you handling secrets? Using AWS Secrets Manager properly? What about internationalization if you're global?
Wow. Okay, the list gets long fast.
It does. And the critical thing here is you can't always just safely vibe code these enterprise requirements. They need rigor.
So it's the whole ecosystem around the agent, not just the agent itself. That vibe coding is great for getting ideas out, maybe.
Iteration, yeah.
But production systems demand this level of scrutiny that AI code, if you're not super careful, might not provide on its own. And I saw an article in The Information about this.
Yeah, they highlighted the risks.
The risks of using vibe-coded logic in production.
Yeah.
They had examples of actual vulnerabilities that slipped through because developers didn't vet the AI code carefully enough.
Precisely. And, from our own experience at Retool deploying these things, we've learned there are some inherent AI challenges you absolutely have to get right.
Like what?
Well, first, hallucinations. Models can just make stuff up or give you results that are unpredictable, inaccurate.
Okay, reliability.
Security is huge. You have to be incredibly careful about what data and permissions you give an agent access to. What can it do?
Right, the blast radius.
Cost overruns are another real risk. It's surprisingly easy to accidentally let an agent run wild and burn through a ton of tokens if you're not careful. And finally, evaluations or evils. They are absolutely critical. You need strong testing and evaluation frameworks to make these non-deterministic agents behave as predictably and reliably as possible, especially for production use cases.
Okay, so we have the promise, the excitement, but also these pretty significant hurdles for actual deployment.
Yeah.
So given all that, how are companies actually deciding how to tackle this? Build it all themselves or buy something? It feels like there are maybe 4 main ways people are approaching this production problem.
That sounds about right. We're seeing roughly 4 strategic buckets emerge.
Okay, what's the first one?
First is build it entirely from scratch. Hand roll everything.
The full DIY approach.
Exactly. It's obviously a high lift, requires serious AI and ML engineering talent, but you get full control. It's completely purpose-built for your needs. You own everything, but you also have to build everything, all the surrounding pieces too.
Okay, high control, high effort. What's next?
Second is using frameworks. Things like LangGraph are popular examples.
LangGraph.
This is sort of a medium lift. You still get a lot of control. You can implement complex things like different memory types for your agents, sophisticated orchestration. It's flexible, but you are still tied to that specific framework, its way of doing things, its updates, its limitations, and you're still building and managing the infrastructure around it.
Got it. So still significant work. What's option 3?
The third bucket is using what you might call agent platforms. Retool agents fits in here.
Okay.
The promise here is a much lower lift to get into production. These platforms come with opinionated defaults. They abstract away the hosting and infrastructure. They often have pre-built connectors to common systems, built-in observability. This approach is really good for tackling that long tail of internal business agents.
The downside?
The downside is you're buying into that platform's way of doing things. It's abstractions. Less granular control than building it yourself, obviously.
My last bucket.
And finally, you have verticalized agents. These are tools that are super dialed in for one specific use case.
Like a chatbot for customer service, maybe.
Exactly. Or a specific kind of data analysis agent. They do that one thing really, really well. Highly optimized.
But not flexible.
Right. Minimal flexibility if you need it to do something outside that narrow focus.
Okay, 4 distinct approaches. So how does a company actually choose? This sounds like a classic engineering trade-off decision.
It absolutely is. There's no single right answer. It's all about trade-offs.
What's the core thinking process then? If you're a leader or an engineer facing this, what questions should you ask?
Well, what we're seeing is it often comes down to a company's definition of its core competency.
Oh, okay.
If the agent is your product, or if it provides your main competitive advantage, you probably want to build it yourself. You need that deep control. You want to own the IP.
Right. Keep the secret sauce in-house.
Exactly. Also, if you're dealing with highly regulated data or very sensitive information, or you have really strict service level agreements, SLAs,
Compliance again?
you might lean towards building or at least need a platform with extremely robust, verifiable controls and audit trails. So you might evaluate both carefully there.
Okay. But what if it's not core?
No, if you're looking at building some kind of, let's call it a commodity workflow, something lots of businesses need internally, like automating a report or streamlining an approval process.
External tools, dashboards.
Yeah, stuff you need working in, say, days or weeks, not multiple quarters, then I would probably lean towards using a platform.
Because it's about resource allocation.
Precisely. Where do you want your best engineers spending their time? Do you want them deep in the weeds debugging OAuth issues or SSO integration at 2 a.m.?
Probably not.
Or do you want them focused on innovating on your core product, the thing that actually makes you money? It's a strategic focus question.
That's a really clear way to frame it. So let's say you do decide a managed platform makes sense for certain use cases.
Yeah.
What are the key things to really kick the tires on when evaluating them?
Good question. You need to look closely at the breadth and depth of the connectors. Does it easily talk to the systems you actually use? Salesforce, Databricks, Snowflake, your internal databases, your APIs.
Are they ready to go, or is it more work?
Exactly. How easy is it? Is permissioning built in and granular enough? Or are you going to have to build your own access control layer on top?
Security and compliance.
Yep. Is the platform compliant itself? SOC2, GDPR, etc. Does it give you solid audit trails? What about observability? Can you see what your agents are doing, how much they're costing?
And basic functionalities.
Right, things like sending emails, notifications, approvals, or those core platform features. Or do you need another tool and integration for that? It all adds up.
And speaking of adding up, let's talk cost. That's got to be a huge factor in build versus buy.
Absolutely massive. You have to think beyond just the subscription price if you buy. You need to compare the total cost of ownership. So token costs, how efficiently does the platform use them? Infrastructure costs, if you build, you pay for servers, scaling, maintenance. Engineering costs salaries and time for building and maintaining it yourself.
Versus the platform fees.
And observability ties right back into this. You need to understand your token usage in real time, get cost estimates per agent run, see all the runtime info. You need the ability to drill down into any specific agent run to see what happened, why it costs what it did, ensure it's all working as expected, both functionally and financially.
It sounds a lot like how businesses already think about building versus buying regular software today.
It's a very similar calculation. Think about a company like Stripe.
Okay.
They would never outsource their core payment processing logic or their main user-facing applications. They build that meticulously themselves, probably using standard web tech like React. That's their crown jewels. But for the huge long tail of internal software operational dashboards, admin panels, customer support tools, fraud investigation interfaces, things that support the business but aren't the core product, they absolutely use external platforms like Retool for that.
Okay, so you see the same pattern emerging for AI agents.
I think so, yes. It seems likely that businesses will end up with a few critical hand-built agents for their absolute core differentiating use cases, and then potentially a much larger long tail of agents handling various internal business processes hosted on some kind of specialized agent platform.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Take Cursor, the AI coding environment company we mentioned.
Yeah.
They would never, ever use a managed agent platform for their core coding agent product. They need absolute maximum control, performance, customization. They have brilliant engineers focused solely on that AI native experience.
Makes sense.
But as Cursor, the company, grows, they'll face other business challenges, maybe fighting chargebacks, handling complex customer support escalations, streamlining internal financial reporting.
Standard growing pains.
Yeah, exactly. For those kinds of functions, which aren't their core coding product advantage, it might make perfect sense for them down the line to leverage an agent platform to build those solutions quickly and efficiently, rather than diverting their core AI engineers.
That paints a really clear picture of how this might evolve. And the impact, when companies get this right, it seems pretty significant already.
Oh, it's genuinely striking. We're seeing real tangible successes and substantial ROI. You look at AWS, they're using AI internally to automate a lot of their own mundane business processes.
Eating their own dog food, so to speak.
Pretty much. Then you have companies like ClickUp, they're a Retool customer. They reported saving over $200,000 in vendor costs, plus hundreds of thousands on potential headcount by building their AI tools on our platform.
Wow, that's serious savings.
Descript, another company using agents, estimates they're saving hundreds of hours of work every week across the 50 or so apps they've built. And looking across our whole customer base at Retool, we calculate that applications built on the platform, many now incorporating agents, have automated over 100 million hours of work to date.
100 million hours. That's hard to even picture.
It's a big number.
And what that really represents, I suppose, is freeing up human potential, right? Taking people away from repetitive tasks.
Exactly. Freeing them up for more creative work, more strategic thinking. It's a profound shift.
It reminds me a bit of the arguments around the printing press. People worried it would destroy scribal jobs, but instead...
It democratized information and led to an explosion of knowledge and innovation.
Right. So the idea here is that AI and agents won't just replace people, but actually enhance the capabilities of individuals and teams.
That's the vision. Unlocking potential, automating the drudgery, and ultimately, potentially increasing the GDP of the world.
And a key enabler for this spread seems to be cost. Is it getting cheaper to run these things?
Dramatically so. Mary Meeker's recent AI Trends report had some eye-popping numbers on this. Inference cost, the cost of actually running the AI models, is just plummeting.
How much?
Her report showed the cost per million tokens dropped something like 99.7% between 2022 and 2024.
Wow, 99.7%. That's incredible.
It really is. Just as one data point, at Retool, our cheapest agent run currently costs about $3 an hour in pure model costs. And all signs point to that cost continuing to drop as the models get more efficient and the competition heats up.
So it's becoming much more accessible financially. And are people catching on? Is there more general awareness?
Definitely seems like it. Just look at Google search trends. Searches for AI agents have apparently gone up 11 times 11x in just the last 16 months or so.
11-fold. Okay, so the interest is clearly surging.
Awareness and adoption are definitely on the rise.
So wrapping this up then, it sounds like the core question businesses and leaders need to ask themselves isn't, what's the magic button to put my entire business on autopilot?
No, definitely not. It's not about a single golden ticket. Instead, it's more about a nuanced approach. Understanding where this new agent paradigm can give your teams, especially your engineers, the most leverage.
Exactly. And then making that strategic decision.
Yeah.
What's the right tool for this specific job?
Do we invest the significant resources to build the agent and all the infrastructure around it because it's core to who we are?
Or for other tasks, do we buy a platform that handles those complexities, the security, the compliance, the connectors, the observability, allowing our team to focus purely on the business logic that makes a difference?
It really comes down to understanding those trade-offs deeply.
It does. And maybe the final thought for listeners to mull over is this. Now that you understand these nuances, the power, the challenges, the build versus buy calculation, how can that help you spot new opportunities? Where in your own work or your own organization can deploying agents strategically unlock innovation, automate the mundane, and ultimately free up human creativity for the things that truly matter most?